Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're here again doing some compressed air type of things. And if you are interested in those kind of things, there's a playlist for this stuff right up there, and I'll throw it down in the description for you too, so you can go watch all the videos on this topic that I've made. Today's victim is going to be this Milton Tire Inflator. I bought this thing, I bet 2 years ago, and it's just been hanging out waiting for me to get to it because I bought it as, a project. Because of course I can't just buy something and leave it alone, right? But all this is kind of like the old school gas station tire inflator. So there's a pressure gauge in it which will take live measurements from whatever you're airing up, and it'll just roll that gauge up until you're wherever you want to go. I think this one's good for like 120 psi or something like that. So it's good for vehicles to do heavy towing and stuff like that. I had a crappy Harbor Freight version of this thing, and it was bad from day one and broke almost immediately. So this is my hope that this one is a little bit better. And it's finally on my mind to do something with this because I think it's going to end up being the perfect companion for my little Ryobi 18-volt compressor. Basically, I think the two of these things are just going to live with each other forever in harmony, and it's going to be just fantastic. But there's some things about this thing I don't like. And the first thing is it's got like this comically long air hose on it that goes up to the air chuck. So that is every bit of, I would say, at least 10 feet. I'd have to look up from a couple years back when I bought this thing how long it actually is, but that's a pretty good estimate. And I have no idea why you would want that much space between this and the chuck. It just doesn't make any sense because my plan is to be holding that probably in my right hand and then that inflating a tire in my left. If that were like a lock-on chuck or something, that might make more sense, but just the way it is, it doesn't. However, I do kind of like this thing having its own supply of airline, just so it's kind of a self-contained unit. I just don't want the airline all on this end of it. I want about half of the line that it came with to be on this end. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, is I'm going to cut that line in half and patch it in. The other thing I don't like is this is a 0 to 160 psi gauge. So it is intended for heavy duty stuff, typically stuff with dual rear tires, like 3/4 ton trucks and on up to dump trucks and stuff like that. But they give you this pretty short dinky air chuck to try and reach in on a dual with, and I'm sure some duals have features that make it easier than others, but I've already seen a few where it's kind of a pain to get on with something that short. So I'd just like to take this long boy here and do the old swapperelli on those. Then you got all the length in the world to reach in on whatever you want to do. But the first thing I want to do is address this air hose situation. One nice thing about it is this end actually has a swivel, so this is intended to rotate. Or at least it sure feels like it's intended to rotate. This end I'm pretty sure is not intended to rotate, but it will if you try hard enough. And I've accidentally destroyed air hoses before doing stuff like that. But this guy I'm sure is intended to swivel because it does so nicely. So the plan here is going to be to take this all apart, lop this hose down to whatever length I actually want between these two, which I'm thinking is going to be about 6 feet. And then take a hose barb and slip it into the remaining half of the hose and clamp it down to get a thread back that I can do something meaningful with. I've seen plenty of old junk air hoses that are held together with hose barbs and hose clamps, and I never did like it. The factory crimped stuff is much nicer. So I bought this kit of what are supposed to be basically permanent hose clamps that I've never used before, and we're going to give it a try. I guess some like Mercedes-Benz vehicles use stuff like this, and I've heard of guys using stuff like this to replace like crimps on air conditioning hoses and stuff when you have to replace them. This is what I'm going to be trying, and this kit with all kinds of different sizes and specialty installation pliers and all that. So should be a fun experiment. The worst case scenario is I end up buying a couple of hoses because I screw these up, and that's not so bad. First things first, I'm pretty sure these two things just unthread from each other right there, but I don't know that for sure. So let's give it a shot and see if they're going to. Yeah, easy peasy, no problem. Oh, that is not what I expected to see though. That has an O-ring seal and like a JIC end. This is not just an NPT hose fitting. So that's a specialty fitting on there. So I don't think I'll be able to just swap it out for something with an NPT, but maybe I'll give it a shot and we'll see what happens. Yep, so that's totally not going to work. I'd have to get some sort of adapter or something to do that. So more research required. For now, we will just put it back the way it was. And that leaves me with almost as many questions for this end. I suppose our next move is to get that guy off of there and see if it's the same thing. And this guy right here is a little overpressure release button, so we definitely want to keep that fitting. So I got her all off of there, but that is not 1/4 inch NPT, which now that I look at it makes all the sense in the world because it's just too small. That's 1/8 inch NPT. That's 1/4. My whole plan here is falling apart right from the start. So this is the perfect video because it's just like all my other ones. And one Amazon order later, I think I'm back with a new plan. What I think I'm going to try and do is replace this entire hose and the whip assembly. Because the more I looked into like trying to cut this stuff up to use it, the less sense it made. So we're back with another Amazon order, and this is 1/4 MPT to 1/8 MPT, which I think is what I need to get on this guy. So I'm gonna see if I can adapt this to a regular hose and see if I have enough room in here to do it. Also, as a side note, do you guys like seeing stuff like this where I go into a project and everything's all screwed up because I didn't research it at all? Or do you want to see it as it happened, which is what this one is, where I'm just getting into it and finding out things aren't quite what I thought? Comment below and let me know. So I've got the hose out, moment of truth time. See if this guy fits. Pretty please be the right thread. At least I can make it turn. There's enough clearance for it. Oh no. Yes. Wait, no. I just cross-threaded. What the hell? Those sure look pretty close to being the same thread. See them next to each other, they line up pretty well. I think those are the same. I wonder if there's a burr or some crap or... Yeah, I think so. I think there's just some thread sealer in there. So I may have to take a little bit of time and try and clean this up and get this guy to go, but I think it will. So now we're about to do something that could be just a monumental mistake. This is an 1/8 inch pipe tap I've got going in here, and it starts just as well as the other 1/8 inch threads. So I might just be destroying this thing right now, I don't know. But it's not getting that hard to turn, so we'll see. There it actually kind of feels like it is cutting something, which is moderately disturbing. Let me make sure it's not doing something too severe. That's not great. Cocking it on the way out. Come on. Yeah, let me just see if I can screw up all the threads. I think primarily where I was feeling resistance in it is that there just aren't that many threads cut into this thing. We're gonna give it another try with the fitting, and then we'll just keep trucking on this if it doesn't work. Interestingly, this thing still only wants to go in about a half a turn before it gets pissed off. Yeah, like right there, it's tight. And I do have another 1/8 NPT thing around here, or at least I think it is. This was part of a blowgun, I think. And it does the same thing. It starts like half a turn and stops. So let's run this guy in a little deeper, because since this is a tapered tap, it may just not be engaging what I want it to cut just yet. Like if there's a burr or something in here. It's definitely cutting something now. Yeah, that's getting real tight. I think that's bottomed out. And you can see it was actually cutting that time. Got some chips out of it for sure. Not to say that's actually a good thing. A little better. Still not good. Now that I'm too late to turn back, probably anyway. Let's see if an air hose is actually gonna fit. Looks like the answer to that is I think so. Way it doesn't take much thread in this thing. Maybe this thing's just not made worth a crap. Then that doesn't explain why this doesn't fit. Anyway, yeah, that'll fit. Well, for better or worse, this thing is plenty tight. And I think it's got plenty of threads in there. So I'm gonna pipe dope it on up, slip it in there for good. And I'm specifically using pipe dope in this case because I don't want to take up any clearances with Teflon tape because this thing fits so freaking tight. I'm not positive what thread that thing is, but it's this now. And this is about a 3-foot hose whip I've got here. Since it is the one I have, it is the one I'm going to use. All right, that feels like it's probably plenty. We can always tighten more, but it's hard to uncrack. There should be with my daddy long stroke air chuck on it, and just kind of temporarily just slammed a air fitting into the back of it just for testing purposes. I'll order another whip for the other side of it since the whole plan here changed, but let's just see if it leaks. Nope, no leaky poo. I guess that's not gonna do anything without pressure on the other side of it. Okay then, I've got some flattish tires around. This goes the way I think it will. There's probably not more than 20 PSI in this tire. Get my gauge so I can read it. Gauge says 15 actually. Good morning. And that worked just splendidly. I'm gonna go order another hose for this end of the thing, just so I end up back where I wanted to start from. But just so we're not all assed out, I'm also gonna cut this stupidity off of this end of this thing and throw that fitting in it with me strappy strap kit, because that's what I said I was gonna do to begin with. And now we know where we're at on this thing. I don't really have the right tool for this job, if there ever was one. This is a set of cable cutters, and I'm gonna guess this will probably do a pretty nice job if I get it nice and squared up. Looks pretty good to me. Oh yeah, like butter. And she's reasonably square. See about getting this barb installed. May have to oil it up or something. That's looking like it's probably not gonna be a fun time. Oh yeah, it doesn't like this at all. And I'm just chewing up the end of the hose trying. Think I bought the wrong barb. And another day, another Amazon order. I always thought this stuff was 3/8 hose, but apparently not. The Milton stuff even says 1/4 inch right on the outside of it, which I was too dumb to read before I got started, of course. don't want to get that any too tight, and I don't think I'm going to need to now that it is the correct size. I'm going to go get some Windex or something to lube that up with, or just spit in it. We went with spit. See if she'll get on there. Oh yeah, I don't even think I needed to put it in the vise. Yeah, let's clean my DNA off of it. Probably a little bit of Diet Coke in there too. Never hurts. I put it back in the vise just to hang on to it. If you didn't know, this vise actually rotates. So that one's for the film critics watching that are wondering how I got the shot from the top of my vise like this. I didn't. And the next fun bit is, I have never done this before, so I've got to read some instructions. The instructions look literally as easy as you think, that there are just pliers with pincers and you just pinch down on that and they'll clamp on. Let's find out. Yeah, these are just like nail cutters basically. Holy crap. And they are real stiff. I'm just gonna take a minute to hit them with the tonic a little bit. They're actually kind of rusty in there. Yeah, I've had this kit for like 2 years and it came from China before that, so actually I've had this kit for 3 years. It's a little bit better. So basically all the kit is saying is to, get on them straight, and if there's not enough room to get on it straight, do it from the side. The interesting thing is, the side method is also the method to cut them off, so I'm gonna guess the side method probably doesn't go all that well. Try and buy myself a little more space here. I wanna bias this guy kind of as choked up toward the top as I can. Right about there, I think. Squeeze the bejesus out of it, and that's what we got. Nice and tight, and I'm probably using clamps for this that are a little too big for the job, but that's okay. Just gonna get my second one on there, making sure it's actually on the barb. That ought to do. Believe she's gonna go anywhere. Let's get an air fitting threaded on there, and we'll check it out under pressure. Well, moment of truth. Got a big old leak, but I think it's coming from the other end. I don't think I actually tightened that wand back down. Yeah, that guy's just finger tight. Hang on. Let's try it again. Well, this is fun. This wacky Milton air check doesn't have any valving in it because it's designed to run off of a pistol grip handle. So if I blow in the end of this hose, you'll be able to hear this thing leaking because it's just a straight through air path. So this was all a lot of fun for pretty much nothing. But let's at least try and fill up one tire with the thing just so I can feel somewhat better about my life decisions. I've set the regulator on this thing for like 35 pounds. I've never really tried to fill up a tire this way before, so let's just see what happens. Of course, immediately it's gonna start dumping air and losing steam out of the compressor. So we're gonna have to be kind of quick. It's gonna be weird. And with the regulator set, this is gonna take 100 years, so never mind that. I really hope you said yes to the clownery because this all gets so much worse in this video. Since I asked, I just went ahead and leaned into it and it's really bad. So this thing ended up being a first place effort to the last place prize. Just completely unusable. I have no clue why they engineered this thing with this completely weird AN style, JIC style, whatever, O-ring fitting. I have no idea why they didn't bother to just go ahead and put a valve in the tip of it anyway, just like every other inflator I've ever seen. I do like the swivel. It's nice and free. Other than that, this thing's just plain weird. Sort of the same deal down here. Why in the world did that need to be 8th NPT? If it even was. When I ran the tap down through this thing, I have no clue if that was 8th NPT or not. I just know that now it works. So, time-wasting Olympics gold medal. And just to solidify this as one of the dumbest projects I've ever embarked on, I'm gonna go ahead and take about half of it back apart because I really liked the swivel that was in it. So I've got one, but this is sold for as being for a pressure washer, and this is NP straight. So National Pipe straight, and this is NPT. So I'm not real sure how that's gonna work out. This is NPT, or it's supposed to be. And I still wanted a hose whip on the thing, so I went ahead and color coordinated the old Flexzilla with the Ryobi, or pretty close anyway. And now that I've done that, I'll probably be annoyed by the red hose, but madness has to end somewhere. So I'm gonna get this guy ripped out of there, get this guy back out of there, and then we'll see if this swivel is gonna fit this location or not. The answer to that is kind of. It goes in about 1.5 threads or maybe 2, depends where you start it. It goes in a little bit better on the other end, but that's it. That's all the further it goes until it gets tight. I wonder if I have a 1/4 NPT die. I go check my inventory and see what I got. And I did not, but now I do. I think the move here is gonna be to chuck this guy up in the vise and then try and turn this guy into him with a wrench. It's in there, probably 2 or 3 threads. So now it's the perfect time to see if I can destroy it. I've just got it in dry right now, because this is the same thread, it is just not the proper taper, so this die should not need to cut all that much. I'm slightly disturbed that it threaded in as far as it did already. Okay, she is starting to get tight there. Like, she's getting disturbingly tight right there. All right, well, before I snap that fitting off, let's just give it a shot and see how it goes. The next problem I suspect we're gonna have is that the body of this thing is huge. It's for an 11/16 wrench, so I don't know if it'll actually spin past the body of the Milton. You can see some of my problem. So what I may have to do in the long run is just round over the corners of this thing, and if you're thinking I'm doing a lot of dumb stuff, you're correct. But before I try that, I'm gonna go ahead and take this adapter back out and just see if it threads in at all. Do I wanna get the right wrench to do it? Probably should, if I knew what it was. Despite how it may look to you, it's been several weeks since I messed with this thing, so I don't remember. And interestingly, a 15mm fits it very nicely. I don't remember what I said before, if I even said. Moment of truth. Like a turn. Dang it. I'm gonna check this guy in the vise and just see if I can get them together. See if maybe there's a burr or something in there. Yeah, she went in there several turns. See if it fits the body of the tool. See if I'm just wasting my time. I mean, I for sure know I'm wasting my time, but is this going to thread in? It is tight. Yeah, it doesn't like that. I have to get a better view of that myself. It goes in like 5 turns and then just barely starts to hit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to mark which hex it's hitting on, and the next one after that, and round them both over just a little bit. So the goal is to just knock that off, and then I've got the next one around the block marked off too. And the only way I'm gonna be able to get in there and do that is to misuse a cutoff wheel. Not recommended. That went okay. So I've got my newly destroyed fitting. Let's see if this was super dumb or regular dumb. No longer contacting the body. Can still get a wrench on it. To my annoyance, I'm pretty confident I made more than one full turn around the thing, and none of the other edges hit. But to my not at all annoyance, it is getting tight. Still be able to put a hose in there. So now I'm gonna take it back off, seal it up, put it back in for the last time, I hope. All right, there shouldn't be any magic here. I have just goober slimed that fitting with pipe dope. That's kind of what I was afraid of too. I think these swivels aren't really swivels. I think they only swivel enough for you to tighten them down. So I think all I've really done there is put a, I don't know, $10 pipe lengthener in. I'll tighten it down, we'll see. And how will we ever learn if we don't try? Yeah, that's 100% what it looks like. As soon as you tighten it down, that swivel doesn't. Yeah, awesome. Complete waste of time and money. But now in 2 generations, no one will know why some idiot did this. So we're definitely gonna leave it that way. Fortunately for me, I saw this one coming. Our Gorilla hose that's going on the other end has a swivel end on it. It's just gigantic. So it wasn't gonna fit where I wanted. So at least we're gonna end up with 1 swivel on it. So now you just need to go get a giant wrench for that. And probably the oddest flex ever, I will grab my gigantic 15/16. So if you pay for a giant wrench, you wanna use a giant wrench and not a adjustable wrench that costs half as much. Plus, I have a way greater chance of snapping this thing off in there with this huge wrench than I would with an adjustable wrench. So that's also a bonus. And now to see how many giant leaks we have. I'm putting my money on all of them. And it sounds like none of them. I'll be actually working the way it's supposed to. I can hear leaking something. Irony of ironies, it's like the one thing I didn't touch. This is a pressure relief valve. So when you apply pressure, it pressurizes this whole hose. This takes the pressure off. So if you wanted to drain air out of a tire, you would hit that button. Let me just put that wherever I need it. When it's under pressure, I can hear it leaking. But after I dump the pressure, should no leak anymore. So I know it's leaking around there. Not anything I'm gonna worry about, because this button doesn't actually see pressure until you actually go to use it. No big deal. And I kinda, sorta, halfway got what I wanted. This swivel is super stiff and feels awful. I wonder if a little bit of air tool oil might help that. I'm also gonna dump the pressure on it before I try it. Yeah, it moves fine when there's no pressure. That's just a ton of oil. So that is gonna do all the things or none of the things. Plug it back in, and feels moderately less like garbage. Not awesome, but I'll take it. And there it is, all done. Now that it's over, was it worth it? No, absolutely not. Not worth it at all. And I was totally right. This red hose does now bug me, but whatever. Nothing wrong with the Ryobi. There's nothing wrong with this as it comes out of the box, except it doesn't work at all like I thought it did. So really the problem here is me. What I should have done is, first off, not waited like 2 or 3 years to experiment with this thing. Got it out of the box, seen how it worked, and went, okay, this is not going to do what I thought it was going to do, and send it back. The funky air chuck this thing came with, and the length of hose it came with, where it came with, and the swivels and all that crap, I should have just said, for what I paid for this isn't for me, and moved on. Now it's done, I'm sure I'll get many years of use out of it, but I'm still not thrilled with the result. I do like the overall package. It is going to be pretty cool to just grab this thing and one arm it off and fill up whatever you want. You know, literally semi-truck tires if a need for that should ever come up. Not that it ever has, but who knows. This is going to conclude what is probably the dumbest project I've shared on the channel. As always, guys, I appreciate you stopping in. We'll catch you on the next one. I'm Max, that's Saddington Bear, and we make videos like this all the time. Here are a couple links to some other videos we've made, and we really appreciate you guys stopping in.